Welcome or welcome back. If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Justina and I practice Western astrology and I use the tropical zodiac. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you for joining me today. So usually I do, or mainly I talk about current astrology, but from time to time I also like to talk about the educational topics or explore them. Now in today's video I'm going to talk about the seventh house, the planets in the seventh house, the house of marriage, of love, of relationships, business partnerships. So here, if you don't have any planets in the seventh house, I don't, you look at the ruler of the seventh house and its placement in the within your chart and any aspects this ruler of the seventh house makes to other planets. Right, so to give you some examples here, so if your seventh house ruler is in the first house, it's important that you maintain your own individuality while in the relationship. So here, don't become overly codependent because you might be dissatisfied in your relationships. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in the second house, here building a financially stable life will be very important, but also becoming self-reliant or maintaining financial independence while in the relationship will be very important for you in your lifetime. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in the third house, you might meet your love partner. This could be your childhood sweetheart, for instance, but also this could be someone from your community, and communication will play a very, very important role in your life here, in your personal relationship. So generally you seek intellectually stimulating conversations here with the seventh house ruler in your third house. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in the fourth house, emotional safety and security is very important while in your relationship. However, also building a solid home base, a family home foundation will be also very important in your love life, in your marriage, for instance. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in the fifth house, you might share similar hobbies, similar interests with your partner. You might also want to live a more carefree lifestyle every now and then here with this placement. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in your sixth house, you might meet your partner at your work. Also, you might want to have a very well-structured and well-organized daily life while in your relationship. If your seventh house ruler is placed in your seventh house, here relationships play a very important role in your lifetime. And you might benefit strongly from doing things together with your partner or to kind of create business partnerships, collaborate with another. Here you benefit from unions, from relationships, from business partnerships in general. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in your eighth house, here you want to connect with your partner on a very deep levels, on a soul-like level. So you seek very deep and profound connections with another. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in your ninth house, on the other hand, you might meet your partner while traveling, or perhaps your partner might come from a foreign place, from a foreign land. You might meet your partner at university, for instance. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in your 10th house, you might meet your partner, or this could be someone connected to your career, for instance, but also your relationships are likely to be exposed, or perhaps in the public eye. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in the 11th house, your friend might become your lover, might become your husband, your partner, for instance, but also you might meet your partner through any group activities, through any social events, social gatherings, or through friends. Now, if your seventh house ruler is placed in the 12th house, here you might want to keep your love life, your relationships private, away from the public life. So you might be secretive about your partner, you might be secretive about any business partnerships, for instance. Right, so here are some examples. These might be especially beneficial for those who don't have any planets in the seventh house. Now, what you can also do while watching this video, you can watch the planet interpretation for the sign that rules your 7th house. So here, if you have Aries on your 7th house cusp, you can watch Mars and you might relate to some aspects of Mars interpretation in the 7th house. If you've got Taurus, then watch Venus. You might relate to some of these as well. Now for Gemini, this would be Mercury. For Cancer, this would be the Moon. For Leo, this would be the Sun. For Virgo, this would be Mercury. For Libra, this would be Venus. For Scorpio, this would be Mars and Pluto. So here we've got the traditional ruler and the modern ruler. Then we've got Sagittarius. Here this would be Jupiter. For Capricorn, Saturn. And for Aquarius, we've got two rulers, the traditional Saturn and the modern Aquarius, although Aquarius might relate more to Uranus, but you can watch both. And then Pisces, here we've got Jupiter and Neptune, but I feel like Pisces descendant might relate more to Neptune, but you can watch for both. Now the 7th house is also called the descendant or the DC. So here the 7th house cusp, the cusp that is related to love, relationships, business partnerships, and so on. So one-to-one connection. So any transits that you've got here as well throughout your lifetime, these will also influence your relationships very much. Right, so here in today's video, we are talking about the natal astrology. So I'll focus on the natal placement. So let's start from the sun. So here the sun, one of the most important bodies in the chart. So here planets, here the sun is called the planet or a planet in astrology. So wherever the sun is placed in the birth chart, here this is a very important area of life. So if your sun is placed in the 7th house, here relationships will play a very important role in your lifetime. And you will go through all sorts of relationships in your lifetime. Well, it doesn't mean that you will kind of have many love relationships, but this is also related to business partnerships, to friendships, connections, one-to-one connections. So here with the sun in the 7th house, you learn a lot about yourself through relationships. You develop your identity, your ego, your persona, also through connecting with others. So here you benefit strongly from connecting with others, from dealing with others, so from any unions, from any partnerships, from any friendships. Well, you learn a lot about yourself, but also you might attract interesting opportunities into your life. So here, don't hide away, which you shouldn't. The sun in the 7th house really needs to connect with another. You shine when you connect with others, when you are in relationships. If you are alone or single, you might feel like you're incomplete, like if something is missing in your life. So here, if the sun makes harmonious aspects to other planets, especially Jupiter, Venus, or Saturn even, because with Saturn you get this stability and structure. And here I'm talking about any sextiles, trines. So these are especially beneficial when it comes to creating long-term and stable and happy relationships. So here, look for any of these aspects. Now here, since the sun represents the masculine energy, so the father figure, here oftentimes you might also play the father figure in your relationship. This is quite relevant. Or perhaps you might seek relationships or attract unconsciously relationships or people into your life who will resemble some of the qualities of your father. So that's also pretty common with this placement. Now with the sun in the 7th house, you might also attract people into your life with qualities of, personality qualities especially, that you lack. So here earlier I said that you develop your identity or your ego, your persona through relationships. And here, this is especially relevant when it comes to relationships with people who have the qualities that you lack. So you absorb these energies, but this can also go the other way. So if you connect with someone who is not beneficial for you, you might also absorb the negative energies. So you'll also have to be conscious of this. Right, so here the sun in the 7th house, you shine through your relationship. You want to be proud of your partner as well, because the sun, the ruler of Leo, this is also connected to pride. So oftentimes you want to be proud of your partner because you shine through the relationships. Right, so this is what I've got for you about the sun. Now let's move to the moon. Thank you very much. All right, so let's look at the moon. So the moon, the feminine energy. So oftentimes with the moon in the 7th house, we seek relationships or we attract people into our life who resemble the qualities of our mother figure. So that's quite common. Now you might also play the mother figure while in your relationship. So you might also be like a caregiver or a caretaker of some sort while you are in relationship. Now here we found the moon rules emotions, the moon rules feelings. So you are very much emotionally connected to your partners, or perhaps to any ups and downs that occur in your relationship. They will directly affect your feelings, emotions, your moods as well. So here your emotional well-being is strongly dependent on your relationships and how things are going as well. These will also impact you emotionally. Now the moon, with the moon in the 7th house, people with the moon in the 7th house oftentimes marry very early. So here they can fall in love very quickly as well. And because it's all connected to the emotions and the feelings. And this is especially relevant if your moon is in Aries, for example, because with Aries, things happen very quickly. You are likely to attract a partner who is domesticated, who is kind, but also you need someone who will be willing to establish a home foundation with you, a home base, because here with the moon is connected to the home, to the family. So you want a partner with whom you will be able to build a home base, a comfortable, emotionally safe and secure home base. Now, while the moon can cause the person with the moon in the 7th house to marry early, if the moon squares Saturn, for example, this can delay the marriage. So here, while the moon in Aries might speed up the marriage, so marriage might be early in life, when the moon squares Saturn, on the other hand, this could delay marriage. Or perhaps if the moon aspects Uranus, things can be happening suddenly and unexpectedly out of the blue. So with the moon in the 7th house, there is an emotional need, desire to be with another, to connect with another. And so with if the person with this placement is single or lonely, it is likely to feel emotionally unfulfilled, emotionally dissatisfied. All right, so this is what I've got for you about the moon. So here, emotions, feelings, the home aspect, these are very important qualities of the moon in the 7th house. All right, so now let's talk about Mercury. All right, so with Mercury in the 7th house, so Mercury, the planet connected to the intellect, communication, especially. So people with this placement need partners who will stimulate their minds. So you need partners who like to communicate. Otherwise, you might feel restless, you might feel dissatisfied with your relationship. So here, communication, exchange of information, learning, writing, even traveling will play a very important role in your love life, in your relationships. So here, intellectually stimulating conversations in general, but also traveling. Mercury is connected to travel, short distance travel. So you might find that you do a lot of traveling with your partners or with people that you connect on a one-to-one basis. Now with Mercury in the 7th house, you might also attract people who are teachers, who work in PR, advertisement, marketing. So generally with this placement, you need someone who is outspoken, someone who is witty, someone who has a good sense of humor as well. Now, you might also share similar interests like reading books. Now, since Mercury is the ruler of both Virgo and Gemini is a dual sign, you might also have to decide in your lifetime between two different partners, two different scenarios related to your love life, for instance. Right, so here, just to summarize, with Mercury in the 7th house, communication is extremely important. So you need partners who will fulfill your mind. So you need, well, intellectually stimulating conversations, but also you might attract partners who are writers, who are teachers, who are salesmen, for example, who work in advertisement, marketing, for instance. Traveling will be also very much connected to your relationship. So traveling will generally play a pretty important role in your relationships. All right, so let's look at Venus in the 7th house. So here you might also relate to the description if you have Taurus or Libra on this cusp. So here with Venus in the 7th house, you avoid conflict at all costs in your relationships. Unless the Venus squares Mars or Pluto, then this could be slightly more challenging. But here, Venus on its own, Venus wants charm, Venus wants romance as well. So here with Venus in the 7th house, you want partners who are attractive, who are charming, loving, and romantic as well. Now, here with Venus in the 7th house, you might be attracted or attract people into your life who are artists, beauticians, designers, fashion designers, or people who are generally very creative. People who are very creative, people who have some skills, gifts, and talents connected to creativity, connected to art. So generally with this placement, you might also have a very romantic love life, or at least some romantic relationships in your life, or you might also have lots of romantic and loving moments while in your relationships. So this is a very beautiful placement for Venus. Venus is the traditional ruler of Libra, and Libra is the traditional sign connected to the 7th house. So Venus feels fantastic here. If you have Venus in the 7th house, you are very lucky when it comes to relationships, when it comes to love life. With Venus also here in the 7th house, since Venus is connected not only to love, beauty, romance, but also to money, to finances, to material wealth in general. So here with this placement, you might be also lucky when it comes to the financial sphere while in your relationship. So here, either while connecting, collaborating with others, or building business partnerships, for instance, or by getting married, you will attract, money into your life. So finances, you can grow your wealth with when you combine your energies with another. Now, something to pay attention to, or perhaps keep an eye on with this placement, is a tendency towards self-indulgence. Right, so here, this is what I've got for you about this placement. Thank you very much, and let's move into Mars. All right, so let's look at Mars. So with Mars in the 7th house, this placement can make relationships pretty dynamic and explosive at times as well. So here you might be, you might attract partners into your life who are of a rather impulsive nature, or perhaps who have got anger issues at times as well. Might not relate to everyone, but this could be the case sometimes. But also with Mars in the 7th house, you might marry early. You might rush into an early marriage. Well, this could be as a result of, difficult or restricting or strict family conditions, or perhaps as a result of strict upbringing, or perhaps you might just fall in love madly and decide you want to get married. So there could be different case scenarios. Now with Mars in the 7th house, you will also attract at least one partner into your life who wears a uniform. So there could be someone, this could be someone who works in the army, someone who is a soldier, someone who is a pilot, or an air hostess, or a surgeon, if I haven't mentioned it already. But generally someone who wears a uniform. That's very much connected to the 7th house Mars placement, or Aries. Now also with Mars in the 7th house, it's really important to learn to collaborate or cooperate with another in a harmonious way. So here, a two-way communication is it's very important to develop a good two-way communication style as well. Generally hear the other person out and vice versa, because there is a tendency towards impulsiveness, as I mentioned at the beginning. This is a very dynamic energy here with Mars in the 7th house. Mars is also connected to passion. So here your relationships are also likely to be very passionate, very exciting, very sexual as well, because Mars is also connected to the sexual energy and passion, passionate energy as well. So lots of passion, lots of desire, lots of fireworks could also be there in your relationship. So generally people with this placement oftentimes fall in love very quickly. They start their relationships quickly as well. Generally things happen very quickly, and you might be also quite impatient as well. So, well, if you meet someone who wants to take their time, it might be difficult for you to kind of wait, and you want to act, you want to take action. So you're oftentimes, people with this placement are not afraid to take the first step, because they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait for too long. They want things to unfold pretty quickly, pretty spontaneously as well. Right, so here, this is what I've got for you about this placement. Now let's move into Jupiter. Jupiter in the 7th house. So here with this placement, you might attract people, partners throughout your life who come from a different culture to yours, different background, foreign place, foreign land, for instance. You might also attract people who will help you to expand or broaden your horizons, your knowledge. So generally you enjoy meeting people who help you to expand yourself in some way. So this could be regarding your knowledge, your wisdom, traveling as well. Now, traveling might also play a very important role in your relationships, long distance travel especially. With Jupiter in the 7th house, you might attract people, partners who are involved in international business affairs or higher education, or perhaps people who generally are also into like philosophy or astrology as well. Generally, this is a very lucky placement for relationships, because wherever Jupiter is placed, this is usually a very lucky area of life. So here you are likely to be very lucky in your love life, in your relationships. Well, unless you've got Jupiter squaring Saturn, and this could delay your love life, your marriage. Or perhaps if you've got the south node here as well, then first you will have to develop your own identity, your own individuality before you find the one. But overall, with Jupiter in the 7th house, you attract generous partners. Now, with Jupiter also, you may need to be careful, because you might also attract people into your life who are overly opinionated, who think they know more than you or more than others. So something to pay attention to as well. But overall, if Jupiter is well aspected by other planets, so if it makes positive connections like sextiles or trines with Venus, with the Sun, with even with Saturn, because this will also give you stability and structure in your relationships. But generally with Venus, especially Venus, the Sun, the Moon here, any sextiles or trines, this definitely helps in building happy relationships throughout your life. All right, so this is what I've got for you about Jupiter. Now let's look at Saturn. Saturn in the 7th house. So here Saturn, when we see Saturn, wherever we see Saturn in the chart, this is an area of life where we might experience delays. So here it doesn't mean that the love life or the marriage won't happen, but it means that it might be delayed. And the reason for that, because here Saturn is a karmic planet, so there could be some karma connected to relationships that you will have to resolve, overcome, or balance out before you get to meet your, the one. So here with Saturn in the 7th house, oftentimes there are some challenges to overcome, some obstacles before you meet your love partner or the right partner for yourself. Saturn in the 7th house might also attract people into your life, partners into your life who are older or mature, for example, or you might be naturally attracted to older or more mature partners who have a great wisdom, partners who are experienced in relationships or in their life in general. With this placement, you are attracted to people who stimulate or awaken your sense of responsibility. So here, these relationships, usually with Saturn in the 7th house, there is a strong potential for building a very well-structured life, love life, a very long-term relationship, even though it might happen in the later stage of life, perhaps in your 30s. However, when you meet this person, there's a strong potential for this relationship to be very successful, very stable and very strong. With Saturn in the 7th house, you feel very loyal towards your partner. So here with Saturn here, you can be, well, you are very loyal and you are likely to also attract, well, the partner, the one I'm thinking about, the one that you attract into your life, the one with whom you build your life. This is likely to be someone responsible, someone loyal. And here with this placement as well. So here, this placement offers an opportunity for building a very well structured love life. So here with Saturn makes positive, harmonious connections with other planets like sextiles or trines with the Sun, the Moon, Venus, Jupiter. This most certainly offers an opportunity for attracting partners into your life who are faithful, who are trustworthy, who are also reliable. Now, if Saturn is afflicted, so if it makes negative connections with other planets, so squares to Pluto, to Mars, you might attract partners into your life who might become a burden. So here, the goal of this placement, in order for you to establish happy relationships in your life, is to make sure that you understand, that you truly understand your partner. And in order to do so, you might have to sacrifice some of your own needs, some of your own interests temporarily in order to dedicate your energies into your relationship. So generally, Saturn in Libra, the sign connected to the 7th house, Saturn in Libra is exalted, is actually really happy. So Saturn in the 7th house can offer really great gifts. However, they might be delayed because there could be lessons that need to be overcome, lessons that will have to be learned, especially here if Saturn is afflicted. So if it makes difficult connections with Mars, with Pluto, for instance, then there will be even perhaps more challenging lessons to overcome. However, there is a very great potential for building a very meaningful, very stable and well-structured relationship at some point in your life. Right, so let's move into the next planet, and this is Uranus. Uranus in the 7th house, so here with this placement, you might attract or be attracted to unusual partners, slightly different to the usual types. So here what I'm thinking about or talking about, this could be people who have very original or unique way of dressing themselves, or a very unique hairstyle, or perhaps their jobs, their professions might be slightly unusual as well. So here the type of relationships that you establish throughout your life might be also slightly unique or unusual. So you might be comfortable with a long distance relationship, you might be comfortable with an online relationship, or you might be comfortable meeting people online as well. So they're very much connected to Uranus. Uranus is connected to technology and internet. So you might meet people, meet your love partners through online dating, for instance. Right, so here with Uranus in the 7th house, things happen suddenly out of the blue. You might also marry early in life, or perhaps you might decide suddenly that you want to get married without thinking it too much through. And generally with Uranus, things happen suddenly, quickly, out of the blue here. And this is connected to your love life, to your relationships. So you might fall in love very quickly. You might decide you want to get married also quickly and establish a home with your partner. You might be also attracted to very unique, unusual types, as I already mentioned. And here, online dating, long-distance relationships are also very much connected to this placement. Also with this placement, with Uranus in the 7th house, you might decide you don't want to get married. So marriage might not be something for you. Maybe you just want to be partners, and that's great. With Uranus in the 7th house, you seek excitement, you seek fun. You want to do things that are also slightly different, some slightly unusual. So this is a very interesting placement, because here with Uranus in the 7th house, you might experience very interesting situations in your relationships, or perhaps you might go through several relationships throughout your life as well. Here with Uranus, things happen pretty unexpectedly. Right, so here let's move into the next planet, and that's Neptune. Thank you very much. Neptune in the 7th house. So here with this placement, you seek partners who will inspire you, partners who will awaken the creative, the artistic side of your nature. So here with this placement is very much connected to someone who oftentimes sees relationships through rose-tinted glasses, someone who is very idealistic when it comes to the relationships. So it's really important to be conscious of any major decisions that you take or make throughout the relationship, because here if Neptune is afflicted in your birth chart, if you rush into any love relationships or marriage without thinking things through, you might be disappointed. So the marriage could bring disappointment. So here with this placement, it's really important to be clear as well, be clear and set the boundaries, because with Neptune in the 7th house, some partners might not be what they seem at first. Now with this placement also, you seek relationships with people with whom you can connect on a soul-like level. So you seek soulmates. This is a very beautiful placement without a doubt. However, it's really important to be conscious about the decisions that you take, about any major steps, and set the boundaries as well. Neptune is the planet connected to Pisces, very mystical energy here. Now, with this placement, you might also attract or be attracted to people who are connected to art industry, who are poets, who are artists, actors, musicians as well. So that's all really great. But here, the reason I'm saying that it's very important to be clear and aware of your decisions and to set the boundaries, because with this placement, you might also attract people who are negative and who might bring negative energies into your life. So if you don't set the boundaries, if you don't protect your energies, you might easily absorb the negative energies into your life. Right, so here, this is what I've got for you about Neptune. And let's move into the final planet, and that's Pluto. All right, so we reached the final planet, and that's Pluto. So that's one of my favorite planets, actually, because this planet brings transformation, regeneration, rebirth. And here with Pluto in the 7th house, here you are likely to, well, this could work both ways. You are likely to have a very strong impact on your love partner. So you are likely to help them transform themselves in some way, in a positive way usually, because you might want to fix your partners. But also on the other hand, you might attract people into your life who will have a very transformative effect on you. So they might transform an aspect of your personality, an aspect of your life, for instance. So here this transformation will work both ways. And generally these are very strong connections. So you seek strong bonds, very deep and transformative relationships. And you are likely to have a relationship in your life, at least one, that will very much transform you on a very deep level, and might also transform the way or change the way you act in relationships, you behave, and you see relationships as well. Now with Pluto in the 7th house, here you might also attract partners who are very mysterious, who are very secretive, partners who could be connected to professions related to police work, detective work, investigation as well, or this could be connected to finances, banking, trading, for instance. Now here with this placement, you might also yourself be secretive about your relationships And you might want to also know everything about your partner. And even like in relationships, and if everything is very deep and profound, conversations, experiences, and if there is an issue in your relationships, you want to also get into the root of the problem. So anything connected to your relationships is very deep, very transformative. So here, even if Pluto is afflicted in your chart, then this could bring some challenges in some of your relationships in your life, some lessons that will have to be learned and overcome in your life. Now, since Pluto is also connected to power struggles, it's something also to pay attention to, because you might attract partners with whom you might also experience power struggles. So it's something to also keep an eye on when dating, when you are still at a dating stage. Make sure that kind of you know your partner very well before you fully commit, because they're like Pluto here, wherever Pluto is placed, it brings challenges. But here in your love life, you might also attract partners with whom you might experience power struggles. And this is also something to keep an eye on. Now, something that you might also really dislike here, it's superficiality at all costs. So you don't like superficiality. You don't like superficial partners. Oh, that's a better way of saying that. Right, so here we reach the final planet. So that's what I've got for you about the planets in the 7th house. Actually, I wanted to mention also the North Node and the South Node, because this could be quite interesting. So with the North Node, usually people with the North Node in the 7th house are very lucky, and they get married, well, pretty early. Many people that I know with the North Node in the 7th house, they met their partners already in high school. So this placement is about, bonding with another, learning about yourself through a relationship. Here you need to kind of be in a relationship in order to fulfill your life mission, your life goals. So that's the placement of your relationships. Here is the North Node in the 7th house. It's very much connected to forming a relationship, to learning about yourself through the relationships. Now, if the South Node here is present, here the relationships, usually the marriage, is delayed, because the North Node is in your 1st house. So first you need to develop your own persona. You need to learn about yourself. You need to know and understand yourself. You need to know who you really are, what you want to do with yourself, with your life. You need to discover your own purpose. You need to discover what is it that you have to do to accomplish in your life. And only then you will be able to open up the South Node, and the energies will come to you and help you to attract your love partner. All right, so here we go, the 7th house placements. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. And until the next time, bye for now.